So Greenfuel was established in 2006, and they are the leading manufacturer of uh, alternative gas fuel systems. And their CNG vehicles have covered more than 25 billion kilometers. Greenfuel has adapted itself with changing times and is now leading the way with indigenous R&D on lithium-ion battery packs. Mr. Kashyap is an advisory committee member of ARAI for CNG applications and advisory board member of Sidhu Labs USA. He's also been the recipient of 2018 Make in India Emerging Entrepreneur Award. On behalf of everyone at Gyaniki and participants, we would like to welcome you to the 8th episode of Tech Talk, sir. The session today, we will be focusing on going Atmanirbhar with battery technology. Welcome, sir. It's a pleasure to have you for our 8th episode, and we look forward to this interesting conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Shashwat. Thanks for the kind introduction. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, Happy New Year to everybody from a nice chilly morning in Delhi. So thank you everyone for joining this discussion. I hope we can have a good conversation regarding this exciting EV mobility and electric mobility emerging market in India. Right. I look forward to it.
Fantastic. So I think without any further ado, I'm going to dive into some questions.
Yeah.
So focus on with the current focus on e-mobility, the EV sector in India. Um, how do you see it? What are your thoughts on the performance of it so far? How you see it develop from here on out, and Greenfuel's role in it?
Right. So, Harsh, that's a very interesting question because, actually at Greenfuel, we have been following e-mobility since 2011. I personally toured all of Taiwan, Sweden, everywhere to see what are the emerging technologies in battery, in powertrains, etc., etc. But 2011 was too early. As we talk about 2020, I think I still see EV in India at a very nascent stage. And this is primarily because today the market is a e-rickshaw and low-speed two-wheeler story. And for EVs really to become mainstream, this has to change. We cannot say our total Indian e-mobility story is going to be centered around only e-rickshaws and low-speed two-wheelers, right? So in the coming years, I really hope to see more fit for purpose, different application kind of EVs, which are more robust and reliable, and in fact better than ICE. I want consumers to say, and I hope that happens, that it's a great vehicle, but oh, great, it also happens to be electric, right? I think we shouldn't look at e-mobility as if it's a compromise on something. In fact, it's better. I've personally driven a lot of EVs all around the globe, and I can tell you, once you've driven an EV, you don't want to drive an ICE, right? And that should be really what's on our mind instead of these 25 kilometer per hours or these rickety looking rickshaws. I'm not saying they serve a purpose, right? And they are a starting point, but I think the future cannot be this, right? So when I use the word fit for purpose, so for example, you look at delivery vehicles, right? EV offers you the flexibility to have great kind of different delivery vehicles. But what about the manufacturers looking at not the lowest cost, but the lowest TCO, right? Does it have the right volume? Does it offer the right, fit for the fleet owner? Does it carry more cargo per trip? Does it give the requisite kilometers? So what I mean is start looking at robust, reliable, application fit vehicles. So, you look at a shuttle ferrying passengers. Why does a shuttle have to look like a rickety bus, right? It could look like something else, right? So I think EVs offer that great flexibility, and I think we in India really need to look at that. As far as green fuel is concerned, we are very clear. Our role is always going to be a partner in providing zero defect, lowest total cost of ownership, safe and reliable battery solutions to our partners. And when I use the word battery solutions, as you know, one battery pack does not fit all products, right? And it's very important to get into the application, the expectations, the requirements, all of that. And that's where I see green fuel play a major role because battery is 40% of the 40 to 50% of the cost of the vehicle, but to me, 90% of the brand value of the vehicle, right? And we have to be partners in our customer success. That's how I see Greenfield's role in the coming years with this EV story.
Fantastic. I think you put it very well that as a product, it has to appeal. It is not just something that has to be done because it's green, but because it has to have value. It makes total sense. And when it comes to the last part, right, where you said that how Greenfield would like to be involved, where you see Greenfield fuel being involved with battery solutions. Now, when it comes to battery solutions, we know that. I mean, the entire EV ecosystem in general has a tough time when it comes to supply chain in India, but especially
Yeah,
with battery solutions, that's even more so. So what is
yeah.
your take on that, like going forward?
So I think I would look at it in three aspects. One is the battery solutions, and what we mean is the building blocks, the cells. And let me take a view on this. I think in the coming near future, cells are going to become harder to procure, at least from the big three. All right. When I use the word big three, I'm talking about LG, Panasonic, and Samsung. You are going to have a huge problem in procuring cells from these guys. And this is because most of their production is already being utilized and at more and at more realizable prices compared to what it is in India. So, I won't name the manufacturer, but we were talking about it, and I was trying to negotiate for a 500,000 cell order. And he's like, let's not even spend 5 seconds on it because I'm providing 70 million cells to Tesla every month, right? So here's my price. You may get it in 6 months, right? Or may not. Let's look at it differently. Yeah. So what I mean is, I think we have to realize that today the demand far outstrips the supply, right? And if we are not going to get into the demand cycle of these guys in India, we are going to face a huge challenge procuring cells. And that leaves us to the mercy of the tier two and tier three grade kind of suppliers, mostly from China. And what that means is that we are pretty much putting our supply chain or our EV story into the hands of China, right? And that is, to me, a dangerous trend, right? So I think we really need to. In fact, I would take a contrarian view. A lot of people are saying the cell prices are coming down. I think in the near term to mid term, the cell prices are actually going to go up and not come down uh, uh, anytime soon. And you'll be lucky if you can get good cells. All right. Especially because we always in India are looked as people who want the cheapest, right? And the cell guys really don't care about that anymore, right? Because they have enough demand going on. So I think we'll have to take a different view on the cell sourcing. I think one of the important aspects which I would like to highlight in our experience is also powertrains. And I'm not coming more from a supply chain matter, but the difficulties in this. What we see is a lot of these powertrains, at least in three-wheelers and two-wheelers, are all being imported in CKD form from China, right? And because of that, what happens is each one of these powertrains is pretty much unique, the CAN IDs, the performance, the current, and all of that. And for the same vehicle, you would then have a almost different battery pack, different cell characteristic. If you want it to perform, I mean, there are a lot of people who want to sell batteries and they don't care, so they'll just give you the same battery. But anybody who's making a good EV understands that the powertrain and the battery have to be a very, very integrated solution. So it's all a solution from cell right down to the BMS, to the CAN IDs, to the behavior, and all of that, right? And I think this trend of CKDs from China and non-standardized ones is a major challenge also from a supply chain perspective to battery pack guys from integration perspectives, right? So I think both the cells and our dependency, therefore, on tier two and tier three grade kind of cells, which can really derail the whole EV story. And this non-standardized battery packs and CKD forms are both a big challenge from a supply chain ecosystem perspective. Harsh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I hope
makes.
that answers your question.
No, it does perfectly, and it completely makes sense. I also agree with you on the front that prices may go higher in the near to medium term. We are actually already seeing that availability is an issue right now. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, this does tend to be a big challenge, and until there is, you're right, until there is some local solution and more localized development or sourcing as well, I think this is going to be an ongoing challenge. Um,
right.
so coming to the offerings, right, Green Fuel has, like, you guys tend to have solutions, all the way from stationary storage to e-mobility, right, in a 48 to 60 volt range. Um, like you were just saying, and I think maybe it's in sort of in a continuation to that. According to you, what makes for a good battery design criteria, which may be missing, at this time, and
Yeah,
from the current scheme of things, and
yeah.
also, I mean, from a like say 48 to 60 right now, and any plans to go higher in that range, in the high voltage range.
Right. So, Harsh, this is one of my favorite discussions I have both with my team and with people. And unfortunately, I'm always very blunt about it, right? Uh, some of the battery packs I see in India are just horrifying. I mean, when I use the word horrifying, and again, I'm sorry, I'm a blunt guy, right? I would not risk anyone sitting on a vehicle with those kind of battery packs. All right. And we have already seen enough incidents of accidents, of fire, of malfunctioning, etc., of these batteries. And this is just because of poor design. I mean, I don't know why it's become a cottage industry where people think it's just about putting the cells together, putting some kind of so-called BMS. It's not even a BMS, it's like a PCM, right? All these loose wires hanging, no criteria for thermal management, all right? And that's a battery pack in a steel box if you're lucky, all right, or in a plastic box. Sorry, that's not a battery. All right. I think when we look at battery design, we start all the way from cell, right? Because your application could require higher discharge, somebody else's application could require lower discharge. The thermal characteristics of both the packs would be totally different. And I stress on thermal management a lot, right? Because especially in a country like India, right? We talk about, hey, performance of lithium ion batteries will be bad because when it's high temperature, no doubt. But the problem is also safety. Okay. And there's this whole thing about LFP versus NMC, LFP is safer and all of that. I say no chemistry is safer or non-safe. It's about how you design. So I think a lot of uh, emphasis has to be paid on thermal management, right? You need a proper bus bar design. So the bus bar is not just to connect the cells, but also to transfer the heat, right? From the center of the pack to outward. But then you suddenly see on the outward there is a plastic pack or a steel pack, and how are you going to transfer the heat from inside to outside, right? Especially during charging. So I think the whole build from transferring heat from the cells to the outside has to be given a lot of care, right? And
Right.
we've done lots of thermal, simulation, not only within the pack, but taking the external environment into play as well, right? And then we have decided how much heat needs to be transferred, and therefore all the materials, etc., have been chosen according to that, right? So I think this thermal management criteria is very, very important. The second important criteria in India is vibration, right? I see these packs with space on the side and top and everything, and all those cells are just vibrating inside. And you know Indian roads, right? So what's going to happen? Your bus bars, your everything is going to break. So there's no this thing. And finally, and I cannot stress enough, I actually had a discussion with DHI, and we hopefully will come out with the safety committee to redo the standards for safety. But one of the things is you need an intelligent BMS. You need minimum string level voltage, kind of monitoring. You need enough thermal sensors in the pack. None of that I am seeing, and this is primarily because of the e-rickshaw story and the low cost two wheeler, where cost is more important than a product design. And that's why Greenfuel likes to work with people who want good product designs, reliable TCO, right? We're not here just to capture the masses because we know the problems that could come in, right? So I think you have to pay attention to thermal management, to vibration protection, and especially to your BMS technology, which is monitoring all the health and everything within the pack and temperature monitoring. And it should not only have capabilities for protection, but also correction, right? And
Right.
and that's the key, right? You guys do BMS, I'm sure you know more than I do, but I can see that, right?
There is absolutely every point out you made that I completely agree with you, and I think a lot of folks in the audience do as well. Um, there is and packs in general can be a dangerous thing, like you said. But yes, there is a tendency of hobbling things together and selling them as products, and that is definitely a concern when it comes to electrification. Okay, I am gonna, sort of take us through a sort of a different sort of offering. Like this may could become a challenge. We talk about two-wheelers, three-wheelers, swap stations, right? Battery swapping solutions. Um, they are still sort of coming up, not haven't proliferated that much, but I'm sure that they will, right? Because for that particular segment, that's a big thing. So this the solution that Greenfuel offers, from a perspective of a client, of a prospective client, like what like looking up to set up a station maybe. Can you sort of walk us through the process a little bit?
Right. So, Harsh, that's a very interesting and dear question to my heart again. We've actually had deployed batteries in swapping, in three-wheeler swapping, and our batteries have now almost covered 2 million kilometers over a year and a half. Okay. And these are about 200 batteries with one particular customer and about 1,000 other batteries. Uh, Very interesting. All right. First of all, I think there is a definite case for swapping in India. Okay. We offer, of course, a plug and play solution from the charging station to the battery. But once again, everything for us is engineered. So our charging station and our battery, the chargers are married to the charging profile of the battery. Okay. What we see in this whole process, and that's what experience has done for us, is the batteries themselves need to be engineered very well, because the abuse levels in this is so much higher you cannot imagine, right? Some of these guys don't have cradles to put the battery, so they keep moving around. They loosely connect the plugs. Then the biggest problem, as I told you, with non-standardization of these drivetrains, we even see back current coming in, right? Lots of loads of back current coming in. So what I'm saying is, there's so many variables in a battery swapping solution. And what we have tried to do is to make our product robust enough to take care of those solutions, because you're not going to be able to control every vehicle. And a lot of the swapping people are going to have this challenge of reliability, because their whole business model is dependent on how many times the battery cycles, right? But imagine if you are drawing excess current, you are abusing the battery, or when it comes down to 20% levels, you are, accelerating huge and drawing peaks of current. What are you doing? You're damaging yourself. And when that happens, you are actually, you're lowering the life of your battery, right? And so therefore, battery swapping is a great solution, but there is lots that needs to be done from a product marriage and then the independent product. And I believe that we at Greenfuel have solved a lot of those issues because of our experience, right? And we offer those solutions. So we offer a charging cabinet with a complete monitoring of batteries. Each battery has an IoT, right? Of course, you decide who your service provider is, but the IoTs are required because you want to monitor the health of the batteries, you want to monitor geofencing of the batteries you want to do because there could be theft. There are a lot of those issues. So it's a complete hardware, product, and software kind of a solution that anybody who wants to go into swapping really needs to take care of, right? And I think with our experience, what we've been able to do is at least, uh, solve the issues that we know, right? Now,
Right.
tomorrow, if a rat comes and bites the battery, well, that issue has not yet come to us. But those are the kind of things that happen out
Right.
there.
Right. Makes
Yeah,
sense. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so the next question is something that I personally have a lot of interest in, and I still see a lot of value in, which is to do with hydrogen fuel and solutions for that, right? And we know that green fuel, or maybe the participants don't know this, that green fuel also offers solutions in this space. Um, could you tell us a little bit about, any projects or any types in the what do you call Indian scheme of things, and what exactly do they offer? Like because we
Yeah.
know that it gets talked about in a very bad fashion, in the sense that that the wheel to well or well to wheel efficiency or analysis of hydrogen doesn't really work out. But we
Yeah,
also know that there are some sectors where, or application in the industry, where hydrogen could be a much better answer than batteries. So
anything.
from this perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, so Harsh, I too am a believer in hydrogen. All right. I think hydrogen is the ultimate fuel as of now, as we see it. Everywhere, it's zero emission. Actually it's available abundantly. All right. The issue is, of course, in the distribution, capturing, distribution, and then dispensing of hydrogen. Having said that, Japan, Germany, they're all betting big on hydrogen economies. And I think you're going to see a lot of action in this space. Um, when I look at hydrogen, I believe that we will definitely see commercial vehicles. And when I use commercial vehicles, more like buses, etc., look at hydrogen in a very serious manner in the first phase. All right. So, as the EV story in India is two-wheeler to three-wheeler, I think the hydrogen story will probably come from the heavy vehicles, right? Uh, we actually have done two projects with two manufacturers in India, but these are more in the prototyping stage. The prototypes have been built, where they are doing a complete fuel cell vehicle, okay, for these applications. And what we provide is the complete product solution of high pressure. So from composite tanks to the tubing to the valves to everything to delivery, so the fuel delivery system of hydrogen, fuel filling and delivery system of hydrogen is what we provide. And then, of course, it goes into the fuel cell, right? And it's a very interesting topic because you have issues like hydrogen embrittlement, right? And high pressure. It's a very small molecule, so leakage, and hydrogen is flammable. I mean, we talk about other things, but hydrogen is superlatively flammable. And one of the reasons it has to be put at high pressure is you need more energy, right? So you need to compress it more, right? And I think what, but I believe that hydrogen, 8 to 10 years, is definitely a very important fuel. From an Indian perspective, obviously, distribution, logistics, etc., will come into play. And I think the early adopters will always look at cost, right? So I think government will have to play a very strong role towards building the hydrogen economy. And that's the beauty of India. We have every segment here present. So because of that, you will see electrification, hydrogen, and let's not forget natural gas. So in the near to medium term, in the 8 to 10 years, I actually see in heavy vehicles LNG, liquefied natural gas, especially for long distance trucks, which is going to play a very, very important role. As you know, LNG stations are being set up, and trucks and buses are going to be made, and long distance, and anything away from diesel, as far as I'm concerned, is welcome, right? So I think the stepping stone will be LNG, and then you will see hydrogen coming up. Yeah. So we have worked with two bus manufacturers where they have done extensive work, and it's interesting to see the products running, right? Running well. But there's going to be, you here you have to absolutely take care of leakage, of pressures, of all of that to really make it. It's not going to be a jugaad kind of a
Yes,
situation at all, you know. So
yes.
that's my concern when we talk about India, that first the jugaad situation starts happening, and I don't see that at all, right?
Yeah, no, no, completely makes sense. And you speak about buses. Even in buses, we tend to see EV or e-mobility which is driven via lithium batteries or batteries.
Yeah.
But when it comes to commercial trucks, like long distance haulage, heavy duty, I think, don't you think that there is where this entire pie of LNG, hydrogen tends to lie? Because that's an
Yes,
area.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, like I said, the long distance trucks, I totally see. If you look at intercity, within the city kind of distribution, I think electric and natural gas both have a role to play there, right? As a fuel. Please, I'm biased, right? So, I always look at alternate fuel. All right. So I always say
Yes,
natural
true.
gas and electromobility. Both will play an extremely important role. And when it comes to last mile, electric will probably take the lead, right? So if you look at last mile, middle mile, and the longest mile, and when we look at the longest mile, the trucks which are running on LNG, later on hydrogen, they will make complete sense, right? But let's not forget, a hydrogen vehicle will have a small battery as well, right? For
Yes, yes,
storage and
that's
things like that.
yes.
So,
That's
so
there.
yeah. So, but I think these two, LNG and hydrogen, are definitely going to play a strong role. And Hyundai and Volvo and Scania have already done the work on hydrogen. They're running their trucks and things like that. So, long haulage trucks, Nikola is a very big example. I hope they come out with something though. But all of this is happening, right? And the good news is there is world interest in this, right? So I see the next decade as very exciting for the space we are in, yeah, and to truly make that impact on the environment.
Yes, I definitely I love the sound of that. And yes, I do believe that hydrogen does have a big role to play. But then it's going to be interesting to see how things shape up. That's for sure. All
Mm.
right. So I'm gonna run by my last question for the day before we let the audience, we select a few from the audience. And this is something I'm guessing that you get a lot from, pretty much everywhere you go and you speak, or somebody asks you a question. There was this recent policy that came out for two-wheelers that vehicle sales and battery sales are separate, right? That's a good thing, I guess. Um, but if you look at it, right, from FAME 2 perspective and where the industry is at and how things have been so far, I mean, let's not, for a second, let's not take into account the whole COVID picture, right? It was a bad phase. But we do know that there is this lack of standardization. I mean, lack of awareness. There's so many things that a lot of people, like I have a personal experience where somebody was asking when I was out on a demo drive for a client, uh, whether the EV works, whether the battery, whether you get any sort of current or something, like in the sense that people don't seem to be very aware of what or how they work or what they are, and that's something that I don't see as a right thing. So from that perspective, um, what more can be done?
Well, I think Harsh, look, lots more can be done. All right. And I'm excited about the entry of Tesla because whatever it may be, at least Tesla has made a name for itself. So it happens to be a great vehicle, which is, hey, electric, right? He only focused on electric vehicles. And today I find it most interesting when a lot of the traditional car companies or the heritage car companies actually say, hey, now we have a product and we are going to compete with Tesla. It's a 18-year story on Tesla, right? So, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So, I think there is a lot more that can be done, but I think the entry of Tesla will definitely create a nice noise around EVs. I personally know a lot of my peers who want to buy electric vehicles, who are looking forward to Tesla. Um, only thing was, like you said, what can be done. So I personally remember that, now you're going to see a lot of high-end cars come into electric. Let's talk about cars for 1 minute, right? And then we'll go by the segments. And I think what the government can really do and help is let them import about 2,000, 3,000, maybe even 5,000 cars without any import duty, like is applicable on a complete built, ICE vehicle. Let them test out the market. I know personally people who would have bought the EQC had it not been for 1 crore rupees, right? And or some of these, and now you have the Jaguar I-Pace, the Audi e-tron, the Porsche Taycan. All of these want to come in. So I think the first step is let the government have a policy that all of these guys, let them import 3,000 to 5,000 cars in India without any import duty, and let them build the market. So that's going to definitely, create a lot of excitement towards the EV. I think the other thing where, when we come to the lower part of the segment, which is extremely important, and if you see that 75% of the vehicles in India sold are financed, I think the figure is almost close to 80%. And today, when it comes to three-wheelers, two-wheelers, etc., there is hardly any finance available. And what is available is at exorbitant rates, right? But there is a catch 22 here. I spoke personally to a lot of financiers, and what I realized is it's not only their fault. What they are saying, and which is a genuine concern for them, is that every EV we see is similar to the other in the sense it's, all that Chinese stuff, which is assembled in India. Where is the reliability of the product? Where is the reliability of the battery? So, for example, a three-wheeler guy, if his battery is not reliable, Maybe after 1 year, if the battery goes down, he doesn't change the battery because he's recovered the cost of the vehicle or something like that. So, but the financer loses. So what we need to do is we need to build reliable vehicles which last X time so that finance may be made available for that at a lower rate. Having said that, the government can also mandate a priority sector lending or a lower rate of interest for EVs for financing. Because today, I mean, it's up to 24, 26, 28%. That's very high compared to traditional ICE vehicles. Of course, there is no resale value established yet and all that. But still, even if I was to finance for 3 years, why would I do it if I know the vehicle is not going to last? Right?
Absolutely.
I think the other thing the government can definitely do, and that is mandating fleet deliveries on EV. When I was in Amsterdam last and I ordered a Domino's pizza, the guy came in a Tesla. All right. Now, okay, there the prices are higher and everything, but come on, here, why can't we have the same Domino's, same Pizza Huts? And I'm not singling out anybody here. All of them are using BS2, BS3, the lowest cost bikes are being used second hand, third hand for deliveries, causing even more pollution. I think the government, especially in cities, should just mandate you want to deliver, it's on EVs or you don't deliver. I think, it's a carrot and stick policy, and here it has to be stick. So I think finance and mandating these with the entry and the allowance of certain amount of vehicles without duty, which are made abroad, is going to go a long way in EV penetration and creating that excitement.
Yeah, that's I mean, absolutely agree with that. And companies that um, make noise and get people to be aware about the brand just by being there is something
Right.
that's important. And I
Yeah.
think, I mean, I'm sort of I have a thing for making sure I talk also about the local products that are good, uh, which brings to mind the Nexon EV from Tata,
Of
which is
course.
one offering that I'm very psyched about. I see some good reviews from people. There's another exciting product from Pravek coming out. So there is good stuff happening here.
Oh yeah, there is
Yes,
great stuff. What I mean is, you have these marquee brands, and the
right.
good news about marquee brands is that they create the right noise.
Absolutely,
You
no,
know?
absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna take a question from the participants,
Yeah.
and I think there are a couple of them, but they all tend to center around alternate battery tech, right? Uh, like everybody is trying to figure out if they can get away from lithium and maybe get into metal air or graphene and whatnot. So uh, let's hear it from somebody who's very aware about what the challenges are and what are the options.
Right. So is there a question or you just want
Sorry,
me
so the
to?
question was, what are so from an alternative tech, right? If we go away from lithium,
Yeah.
metal air or graphene, what do you see as a good solution or an option there if when it comes to battery tech itself, like battery chemistry or from
Yeah.
that perspective?
See, I think I'm agnostic to whether it's metal layer or it's sodium ion or it's or whatever. I just think in terms of form factors and things like that, what I see is solid state batteries are going to be a very important play in the EV. As Shashwat had mentioned, I'm actually on the board of a company in the US, which is doing a lot of great research on solid state batteries, and it's very close to commercial production now. Um, and what's interesting there is, but it's still slightly lithium based, all right? But the electrolyte and everything is solid state. So I think any battery technology which answers the question of energy, cost, and longer life, right? Is energy density must be higher, cost cost must be lower and have a longer life. I think that battery technology is a contender. I wouldn't place my bet on a metal air or whatever you mentioned, the sodium ion or any of that. I think any battery technology which answers all these three and a requirement from what the EV requires is a contender. Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Hello.
Harsha, can you
Yeah.
unmute yourself, please?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think maybe we've
One
lost
final
Harsh.
question. I think we've sort of
Yeah.
taken a bit more too much of your time, but final question from the audience. What is the scope for Indian entrepreneurs in the EV segment? What are the areas in which one can pursue, at least with the way things are at the moment?
Yeah, so I think, look, guys, you have a differentiated offering, whether if it's in a vehicle, please get close to your customer. Which is the target segment? Is it going to be fleet delivery? Is it going to be passenger? Is it going to be corporate transportation? Whatever it may be. Look at that as a niche segment because there are so many applications. And within that niche segment, make a product or offering which is differentiated, which answers all the questions. And the beauty of EVs is it gives you the flexibility to do that. All right. If otherwise you want to get into it, look at electronics and software. There's a lot of scope in power electronics, whether it be with we have companies which are doing chargers, but all of them want to offer a 1 year warranty, right? You have a charging station which is going to last. Why not a longer warranty? What's keeping you back? What's wrong with that? So I think what's important is definitely electronics, BMSs, right? Uh, BMS gives a great opportunity. A lot of people want to make their own BMS, but the way I look at it, it requires multi-scale effort and it's left to a lot of experts. So we need something which answers the questions required by the customer and yet doesn't have the cost imperative that you get from a lot of brands from abroad. So I think BMSs, electronics, power electronics, drivetrains, uh, you know, differentiated offering in vehicles, all of those offer an opportunity.
Yes, I think that makes sense. I think because there is so much focus on batteries, there tends to be not so much focus on the rest of the vehicle.
Oh, there's lots in
And
there.
so
Yeah.
makes sense that yes, there is a lot that can be done, even if maybe today we cannot source batteries locally or get them done here. Okay. There are, a lot more questions, but I think we're gonna bring this session to an end here. I so this is just the eighth episode, Akshay, and I can I think I can very easily say that we haven't had such a candid session so far.
Oh,
Your take on things, you said blunt, but I think I would, if you ask me, it would be more direct, to the point, and what things are, calling an apple, and that's fantastic to have. So thank you very much
thank you.
from Gyaniki team and everybody here, for sparing some time and educating us a lot on the area of energy storage. Um,
Right.
Over to you if you'd like to say a few words.
No, I just want to thank you for having me. Always happy to share my thoughts. Yes, I do tend to be direct. That's what I do. But it's important to first start from where the issues are and then build on it. So thank you so much for having me, guys. I think this is a great platform, at least for people interested in EVs. I think you're doing a great job by doing this and building awareness, getting people who are, uh, good uh, guys who have the knowledge and the awareness about EVs to talk to a lot of people. I hope to see this really happen. Thanks for the initiative, guys. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the kind words. And yes, we also hope to see a lot of green fuel energy batteries soon in pretty much every OEM application. So all the best with that. And
Well,
thanks,
we hope
Akshay.
so. We are going to deliver a great product, and we hope people will buy. You know?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank
Yeah.
you, Akshay. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Bye.